What's up everyone, my name's PlatinumHowler, coach of your Coquitlam Red Gyarados, and today I am bringing you my Week 1 match of the PCL D-League versus Dreadful Dragonite and his Los Ampharos. You can see his terrifying team over on the right side of the screen, and his two Z users are Mew and Licky. It is worth noting that Mew does have the ability to run Genesis Supernova in this league, so I'm gonna have to be extra careful about that. So this week was a lot busier for me than usual. I really busted my ass just to get my draft analysis video out in time. That I didn't even have enough time to build this team myself. So huge thank you. I cannot state this enough. Huge thank you to Eco, one of my front office members and very good friends in the Pokemon community, for building this team for me, because I did not have time to get this done on my own and I would have been hooped without him. So there are one or two things that I did change from his original build, but nothing too major, just a few move slots, no EV spreads or items or anything like that. So this is going to be kind of an awkward team builder because it's me trying to explain the rationale of a team that I did not build, but I will try my best to show off what this team is all about. First off, we have this Tapu Koko with the Electrium Z. Electric attacks are going to hit his team extremely hard. The only immunity he has to electric attacks is ZYGARDE, which is also weak to Koko's secondary stab in Dazzling Gleam, as well as Sceptile is a resistance, but is still going to be taking a heck of a lot of damage. I'm not entirely sure what the speed investment is for. I can tell that it definitely outspeeds max speed Mega Metagross, and I believe that it will also outspeed Hawlucha. I think it will outspeed any variant of Hawlucha. I mean, most likely if Hawlucha is coming, it's not running max speed anyway, so I feel pretty comfortable in saying that this Koko should be able to deal with Hawlucha just fine. If we can get it Calm Mind up and things such as Mew and Snorlax and what else is going to be able to take hits? Well, ZYGARDE will definitely eat one Dazzling Gleam, but at +1 that might be a different story. If we can wear things like that down on his team, this Koko is going to be extremely hard for him to deal with. Next up, we have our Alolan Marowak, which is rocking Stealth Rocks for us this week. It's the only Stealth Rock setter that we have since we are not bringing our Sand Core. We are very easily able to spam Flare Blitz with Rockhead on this Alolan Marowak because he doesn't have a Electric type on his team whatsoever. So we don't need any sort of electric immunity to deal with him trying to Volt Switch around or anything like that. So that's going to make this really nice to do lots of damage to his team. I believe the defense investment is to take an Earthquake from Mega Metagross after Stealth Rocks, I want to say. Really have to watch out for opposing knockoff on his team because there are a couple of very likely candidates to be carrying knockoffs, such as the Mew. I think a pretty standard physically defensive Mew is actually really good against my team. And then of course Mandibuzz is a really good switch into Alolan Marowak as well, and it can run knockoff to get rid of Marowak's Thick Club. So I'm going to have to be very careful with the way I play this mod for sure. Next up, we have our Serena, which is going to be our Rapid Spinner and our, pretty much it's going to be our response to the ZYGARDE, being our best resistance to 1,000 arrows. I see this is Leaf Guard and not Queenly Majesty, and we'll definitely want to be Queenly Majesty on this set because he has a couple of priority options such as Bullet Punch Mega Metagross and Extreme Speed on ZYGARDE, which this is meant to check. Drop Kick is going to prevent him from constantly boosting his attack with either a Coil or a Dragon Dance. But because Coil also boosts his defense, he might be able to boost it enough to the point where Drop Kick won't be able to break a sub. But in that scenario, we should just be able to U-turn out against it and bring in something like the Mega Latios to drop a very powerful Draco Meteor. This looks like a max speed set that can speed tie with a Mega Metagross, and it has max HP as well, so it should be able to take a hit or two from the Metagross. Draco Meteor hits pretty much all of his team hard. I mean, well, it's Draco Meteor coming off, it's a Stab Draco coming off of a 160 base special attack stat, so of course it's going to hit hard. As long as Misty Terrain is not active, of course. Roost for longevity, of course, and we have Shadow Ball to hit the Metagross as well as the Mew, and then Thunderbolt will deal with the Mandibuzz and the Tapu Fini, and the Hawlucha as well. Next up is this Double Dance Drapion. So Drapion is pretty much a necessity this week because it's a Dark type and it's immune to Genesis Supernova. This is honestly not the Drapion set I was expecting to come in this matchup, but I think it can actually work quite nicely. Sugar Berry is obviously so that we can set up in the face of a Mega Metagross. It is important to keep in mind though that Drapion is not the strongest Mon out there, so we will have to chip it down considerably to be able to knock it out with a Crunch at neutral attack. I'd also like to play this in a way that I can set it up in Misty Terrain so that I'm not able to get burned by the Mew, for example. Like if I bring this in on the Mew and the Misty Terrain is still active, then that's really good for me because I might be able to set up both a Swords Dance and an Agility in that scenario. And after that, there's a good chance that he will be in a very tough spot with little to be able to handle this. This is definitely looking like a potential late game cleaner depending on what is weakened on his team. It's definitely looking like we'll have to weaken the likes of Arcanine, which can intimidate us, reduce our attack, and take our hits pretty well as a ZYGARDE being resistant to Poison Jab and hitting us super effectively with the 1000 Arrows. And then last but not least, we have the Flame Orb Melodic. Flame Orb, I do think, is the best set for Melodic this week because we need as much physical defense as we can get to take on the Mega Metagross. So we should be able to kind of sort of switch into that thing. At least we can switch into its stab steel attacks because we resist them. And we should be able to chip it down with a Scald, hopefully get a burn as long as Misty Terrain is not active. Recover for longevity, of course. We have the Haze. I think Haze is good because it can neutralize a Tapu Fini trying to go for Calm Minds against this Melodic. And as well, it can Haze a setup variant of Mew because I do want this to be able to Toxic the Mew as long as, you know, Misty Terrain is not on the field because I did mention previously that I can foresee a physically defensive Mew set being very tough for me to take down here. So that's going to be our team for this week. Very abbreviated team builder, a lot shorter than you will come to expect from my PCL team builders, that's for sure. But hopefully I can find some more time to build my own teams so I can give a better synopsis of my game plan heading into these games. because this week I certainly don't have a game plan. I'm just going to try my best with these 6 mons and hope to pull out a win. So I will see you guys right back with the battle. Here we are back with the battle, and looking at the team that Anus decided to bring. Oh, excuse me, did I say Anus? I think I meant Anas? There aren't very many surprises. We don't see the Tapu Fini, so there will be no Hawlucha or Sceptile Unburdened shenanigans going on here. You see the Licky Licky over the Snorlax, so that means that it is likely going to be coming as a Wish passing set. And we also don't see the Shuckle, which means no sticky webs on our side of the field. And it's looking like his only hazard setter that he brought is going to be his Mew. I mean, the Metagross could also have Stealth Rocks potentially, but I feel like that is very unlikely on a Mega Metagross set. We will have to be careful though, because the Mew could also very well be Z-move, so we're going to have to play pretty carefully around that thing. One thing that I'm very cautious about when looking at his team is the amount of knockoff pressure he has against me. He has the Mew that could carry knockoff, he has the Mandibuzz and the Licky Licky that could all carry knockoff. And I have my Marowak, which I don't want to get knocked off because I am holding the Thick Club. And if that were to happen, I'd basically get very, very crippled. As well as the Melodic holding the Flame Orb, so I need to make sure that I can get the Flame Orb activated before either of those 3 have the chance to knock off the Flame Orb. So, with all that in mind, I am going to choose to lead with my Alolan Marowak. It is the Stealth Rock setter on my team, so depending on what he leads with, I can either get a big chunk of damage off against his team, or I can pressure him out and get my rocks up. But he is going to lead with the Mew, and like I said, I don't want to get knocked off. So I have my Coco, which resists knockoff and is holding a Z Crystal, so nothing will get knocked off in the back. And this turn is actually going to work out incredibly well for me as he switches in the Mandibuzz, which is his obvious defensive response to my Alolan Marowak. So now I'm thinking, okay, maybe this Mew is not a knockoff set, but he also could have easily gone for the Z move there if he was Genesis Supernova. So not really too sure what to make of the Mew set at this point, but I know he's going to switch this Mandibuzz out and most likely into the Licky Licky, and I'm just going to basically just gauge damage on this thing. I don't want to reveal my entire set yet. I don't want to reveal that I am a Calm Mind Tapu Koko, so I'm just going to get a little bit of damage off against the Licky Licky, and I feel like this is my best opportunity to get Melodic in and activate my Flame Orb. I don't anticipate getting hit with a Toxic on this turn. If anything, he should go for a Wish to keep himself healthy. But he does go for an Earthquake instead, trying to get some good damage on my Coco. So we see Earthquake, and now we see Protect, as I try to Toxic the Licky Licky. So Earthquake, Wish, Protect, Heal Bell, maybe? I'm not entirely sure if that's going to be his set. But I'm going to try to go for Toxic again here. And unfortunately, I'm going to miss, and he's going to go for the Body Slam. So I've now seen 3 out of 4 moves on his set, so there's no way that he could have both Wish and Heal Bell on this set. I'm thinking that it's most likely going to be Wish, because, I mean, if you were going to bring this kind of Licky Licky set, there's very little point in bringing Licky Licky over Snorlax, in my opinion, to this matchup. So because I missed the Toxic, I go for a Recover to try and keep myself healthy. But these next couple turns, I definitely don't play optimally. And this ZYGARDE is going to prove to be a problem for my team. I feel like I could have easily gone for the double Toxic. Like, even after I missed, I could have gone for Toxic again, because I could have easily brought Melodic in against the likes of Mandibuzz or Arcanine or the Licky Licky again later on, and got my Recover off to deal with the things like ZYGARDE and Mega Metagross. But instead, I don't get any status on him at all. I stay in and go for a Scald, which was a which was 100% never the play. Because even if I was fearing him to be a substitute set, his substitute was always going to eat that Scald, and he would be able to keep it up. So I should have definitely just gone into Serena immediately against this ZYGARDE, because after he sets up a Dragon Dance, he goes straight for the Outrage, and he's going to be able to 2-hit KO my Serena, which does absolutely nothing in this game. And unfortunately, he does get a 2-turn Outrage, so I'm not able to bring in my Koko and get guaranteed damage off against him with Dazzling Gleam. Instead, what I have to do is bring in my Mega Latios and basically either hope that he gets confused and knock him out with a Draco Meteor, or force him to go for Outrage again so that he's locked in and I can bring Koko in and get Dazzling Gleam damage off against him. But he is going to choose to preserve the ZYGARDE for later in the game as I go for Draco Meteor, and that does not a whole lot of damage to the Lickilicky. He is definitely very spadef to deal with my Koko and Mega Latios, and I don't have any special attack investment on this Mega Latios, so could have potentially done a lot more. Like if I was timid max special attack, I might have had a chance to 2-hit KO. Then he could have protected and got some leftovers recovery back. So right here, I feel safe bringing in my Marowak because he's unlikely to go for an Earthquake with my Latios on the field. But he actually reveals that his last move is Toxic, so he doesn't even have Wish or Heal Bell in the set. Personally, if he was going to bring a set like this, bring Snorlax. Snorlax is a much better mon to run a set like that than Lickilicky. I'm not sure. He had Cloud9 to deal with my Sand Setters, but that wasn't going to do anything for him because even if Excadrill was in, it doesn't cancel the weather effects forever. It only cancels them while Lickilicky is on the field. So I feel like that was a missed bit of prep on his part, but. It's not going to turn out to matter very much. But anyways, my Marowak is now Toxic, and I set up my Stealth Rocks against the Lickilicky as he brings in the Mandibuzz, and I am content with letting my Marowak go down at this point so that I can get Koko in and just try to win outright with Calm Mind at this point. So. I go for Flare Blitz, and then he recovers all that off with a Roost. It really doesn't matter to me because Koko is going to be able to deal with this Mandibuzz 100% of the time, no matter what percentage of health the Mandibuzz is at. So instead of going for Flare Blitz again and getting a whole bunch of damage off against him, I am just going to go for the double Stealth Rocks in case he tried to defog my rocks away on that turn. But he just went for the Roost, and the rocks stay up, and I get my Koko in for free and go for a Calm Mind. And the way that he brought in this ZYGARDE, I am very suspicious of him being a Roselli Berry set. But it doesn't matter to me. Even if he is Roselli Berry, I'm going to go for the Dazzling Gleam here because this is my best opportunity to win. If I switch out here anticipating him to be Roselli Berry, even if I knew for a fact that he was Roselli Berry, which he is, and allows him to take that Dazzling Gleam, switching out into something else wasn't going to help me because I didn't have much to get any damage off against this ZYGARDE either way. So going for Dazzling Gleam there is something that I had to do, and unfortunately I didn't get the kill. But he is going to choose to spare my Tapu Koko and go for a Dragon Dance instead. And now he's going to go for 2,000 arrows to knock out my Mega Latios. So now I'm down 3-6. I don't have a single KO yet. I'm quite behind in this game, but I am going to be able to bring in my Lodic as he gets a lot of damage off, about 50% off with the Outrage there, and I am going to be able to knock him out with his Scald, thankfully. So we get our first KO of the game at last, and now we are pretty low with Milotic, so as he brings in this Mega Metagross, I'm not too sure if I'm going to be able to keep this thing healthy enough. I'm hoping that I can take a hit and go for Recover. And I also, another reason why I left this Milotic in is because if he goes for Agility, I can recover all of my HP and then haze him on the next turn to get rid of his speed boost. But unfortunately, he did actually have Agility on this Mega Metagross set, and he debated going for it there. But I think he made the correct play by just going for the Zen Headbutt. And lucky for him, he connected and knocked out my Milotic. And now I only have 2 Mons left against his 5. But because his ZYGARDE is down, his only electric immunity, in fact his only electric resistance on his entire team, I can bring in Tapu Koko and fire off Gigavolt Havoc for free and get a guaranteed KO against something on his team. And thankfully he does decide to leave in the Mega Metagross rather than doing something like sacking off the Mandibuzz. I think if he were anticipating me to be Z-move, that would have been a good play on his part. But we are going to get rid of the Mega Metagross. And now the Lickilicky is going to come in, and he looks to be at a range of HP where he will be able to take 1 Thunderbolt and either get a Toxic or Earthquake damage off against me. And depending on what he decides to do, I feel that bringing Drapion in is always the best play, because I do have the Shuca Berry, which will allow me to take this Earthquake extremely well, and I know that I can take 1 more and set up a Swords Dance against this thing. And what that's going to do is it's hopefully going to be able to force in the Mandibuzz to deal with my Drapion and not the Mew, so that I can set up against the Mandibuzz with my Tapu Koko and then hope to win at with a couple of +1 Thunderbolts. So he does go for the Earthquake and pops my Shuca Berry. He goes for Earthquake again the next turn as I get my Swords Dance up, and now I'm going to go for a +2 Crunch against this thing. It should be able to KO because he appears to be very specially defensive rather than physically defensive, and it does do enough to knock him out. So now the Arcanine is going to come in and take lots of rock damage and get the Intimidate off against me, so that'll bring me down to +1 attack. As this turn, I'm going to go for the Poison Jab against the Arcanine, and this is not going to do anything at all. That does like not even 40% a +1 Poison Jab. So this is definitely a very defensive Arcanine, and he is packing the Rocky Helmet as well. So he knocks me out with the Flare Blitz, but lucky for me, the Electric Terrain disappears at just the right time, so I can bring in Koko and reset it, and now I have 5 full turns of terrain to hopefully be able to win the game after 1 Calm Mind here. So I go for my Calm Mind, and he goes for the Flare Blitz. And this is unfortunately doing just over 50%, so there's no way that I can go for a second Calm Mind to try to get that extra damage to take out the Mew in the end game. So I have no choice there but to go for a Thunderbolt and hope that this +1 modest Electric Terrain boosted Thunderbolt is going to be enough to take out this Mew. And it does a lot of damage, but not enough, unfortunately, as he is going to fire off his Z-move here. And as you can see, he is Psychium Z, Shattered Psyche, rather than Munium Z, Genesis Supernova. And the reason for that is because he is not carrying Psychic. You have to run Psychic on Mew to power that up into Genesis Supernova. But he's actually running Psy-Shock, specifically to deal with the Calm Mind Tapu Koko, because he was a Calm Mind Mew himself, so he had the Mew in his back pocket to try and win a Calm Mind war against my Tapu Koko. So he is going to be able to knock me out with his Shattered Psyche, even with me at +1 special defense, and he is going to win this game 2-0. So, very good game to Dreadful Dragonite. His links, YouTube and Twitter, of course, will be in the description below. ZYGARDE was, without a doubt, the MVP of this game for Dreadful Dragonite. It really did a number on us, and we did not play optimally around it in the beginning of the game. As I said, I definitely could have gone for a double Toxic after I missed the Toxic against Licky. So I could have either got a Toxic off against the ZYGARDE, and I also had a chance to get a burn off against him. And then I end up switching in my Serena to just get obliterated by a couple of outrages. So I don't think I played great around the ZYGARDE, to say the least. I did have Haze on my Melodic as well, so I could have prevented him from boosting up no matter what. So after he went for the Dragon Dance there, I could have chosen to gone for the Haze, and that should have allowed me to take the second outrage from him, and then I could have recovered up, as he would have eventually gotten confused, and he probably would have been forced out at that point, as I could have gone for a Scald and tried to get a burn on him while he's confused. Of course, he would have had that 1 in 3 chance of not attacking, and that would have allowed Melodic to 1v1 that thing easily. But I also could have just very well have gone into the Serena immediately, and then gone for Trop Kicks to keep his attack stat low. Especially if I had a Toxic against him, going Serena there, I think would have been the better play, because I could have just gone, as I said, I could have gone for Trop Kicks to keep his attack stat low, and then Synthesis off any damage, and he is on the timer thanks to the Toxic. The original set for Milotic actually had Ice Beam on it, but I took it off. I took it off for Toxic because I needed the Toxic for the Mew, and I stand by that. I think making that change was the right thing to do, even if it did kind of hurt me when dealing with the ZYGARDE in the end. Maybe in hindsight it would have been better to get rid of Haze for the Toxic and keep Ice Beam for the ZYGARDE. But that will be something we'll have to consider if we were to meet later down the road in the playoffs. Unfortunately, ZYGARDE is too big of a threat to misplay around and hope to escape unscathed. It was able to punch a huge hole through my team early on, and unfortunately it was just too much to come back from. Tapu Koko tried its best to bring it back with the Calm Mind set late in the game, but unfortunately just was too far behind at that point, and it wasn't able to come through for us in the end. We would have needed a crit on the Mew, and then we would have definitely got very lucky. Coincidentally, this is the second upload this week where a Calm Mind Electric type just falls short of winning the game on my side of the field. But to be honest, I can't really be too upset with taking a 2-0 loss in the first week with a team that I didn't build myself. Thank you to Eco once again for making this team for me. Sorry I couldn't play it to the best of my ability, but I really can't be mad with a 2-0 loss week 1 using a team that I was not completely familiar with. Also, another thank you I should give that I kind of glossed over. Thank you to Green Darkness for genning my team this week, as Ruppy, my usual genner, was unfortunately not able to help me out this time. But again, like, I have such great friends on I have such great connections on Discord. When one genner isn't able to help me out, there's another genner always at the ready. that can help me out, and I'm very appreciative of that. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more PCL D-League uploads. Next week, we are going to be going up against Devious Ditto, who is the coach of the Devious Dittos. I've never seen that. I've never seen that before, where his online name is the same as his team name. I'd be like, can you imagine, like, me, PlatinumHowler, being the coach of the PlatinumHowlers? Anyway, we'll see you next week with that game.